when we want our sales team to listen to us, is it the words that we say, the physical language that we use, or is it how we say it that is most important when we're trying to effectively communicate with other people?
Yeah, that is a great question. And do you know, I asked exactly that question to Chris Anderson, the head of TED, when I interviewed him for my book. And so the question was, Chris, does content matter more or does delivery matter more? Content versus delivery. And his answer was, which I think is right, he said they both matter. They're obviously both very important. But if he had to choose one, it would be content. Because if somebody is saying something earth-shattering, but doing it in a sort of shambling, boring, or rather amateurish way, you'll kind of stick with them because it's important. Whereas if somebody is speaking vapid nonsense, but doing it brilliantly, that's just irritating.
That's, as you say, that's the first assessment. And as you say that, I don't know if you've heard, I'm sure a lot of the audience will. There's a recent Joe Rogan podcast. He had Elon Musk on. I don't know if you listened to that podcast or if you watched that one specifically. Okay, so Elon Musk is, I think it's fair to say, somewhat on a spectrum of genius, of something else, whatever it is, right? And I don't feel like he communicates as well as what he perhaps could do. And clearly he's had tons of training on communication and he speaks somewhat eloquently, but it's not particularly interesting. But the content, I was gripped with all the science that he was discussing and his plans of getting people on Mars and the point of that and the science behind space travel and rocket travel. I was absolutely gripped. So that I get that. I guess that's the point that proves your rule here of if the content is exceptional, then everything else can kind of follow behind that. So if we're trying to communicate, sorry, go on.
Doesn't mean that we can ignore delivery, of course. Sure. I mean, it's not enough to have good content. You can spend hours and hours preparing the most brilliant talk in the world. It can be witty, entertaining, scintillating, enlightening, transforming. But if you stand there and you deliver it like a dirge, you're not doing yourself justice. So they are both important.
Julian, what is a dirge? That's a new phrase for me.
Oh, that's a great one. D-I-R-G. Do you know, we can talk about vocabulary, actually, because it's important. A dirge is a mournful kind of tune or something that's boring or takes you down, you know. And vocabulary is very, very important, of course. You know, the vocabulary of younger people has shrunk dramatically. Most of them are using something like 800 words. And that's not very many, considering there are, I think, 3 million words in the English language.
And how does that 800 words translate to kind of youngster 20 years ago, just for just juxtaposing that and building a comparison?
Yes, the evidence is that it's falling and there's more repetition. I mean, the word like would be quite near the top of that list, I should think. Less so perhaps now than it was a year or two ago when it was always I'm like and he's like and so forth. But it is important, if you want to be a powerful speaker, it's very important to have the tools, you know, the arsenal full of words you can deploy. It's frustrating to be inarticulate. It's frustrating not to be able to express the exact thing that you're trying to get at. And I'm not talking about bamboozling people and using jargon or big words to impress, because that would be in violation of the first of my 4 principles of powerful speaking, which is honesty, being clear and straight and clear. So simple language is great, but there are always more words to learn. And so, you know, you can sleep with a dictionary under a pillow. I do crosswords. That's a good way to learn. I do the Times Cryptic every day. Or you can have one of those little apps. You can get it on your computer. You can get it on your phone. A little app that's a screensaver and pops up a word every day for you to mull over, many of which you'll know, some of which you won't. Dirge might be one of them.